Welcome everybody. Quick agenda. We're going to start with a quick introduction on why we built Servoy 8. Then we'll look at a couple of apps built with Servoy 8, and then Paula will give a actual product demonstration. It's not a training, so it's probably 10 to 15 minutes to give you a high-level overview of how you build applications differently than with Servoy 7 and before. I always like to start with why we exist, and I think most of you as well. If you make great applications, you get happy people, happy customers who are happy to pay you some money for the services that you deliver to them. So that is why we exist on this planet. And how we do that is by making it easier to deliver great business applications. And we've been doing this now for 12 years. That also means that we have to keep up with the market, with what the market is demanding. And that's also why we started building Servoy 8 to be able to continuously deliver a great user experience to end users. One of the things we've been seeing in the past years is that the traditional approach of creating web applications is pretty bad. It's a pretty sad situation. Personally, I come from a 4GL background. I used to develop business apps with 4GLs for desktop users, Windows. And 4GLs were quite productive. You could quickly have a business idea, find and write a solution for it, and deliver it to your end user. Then the internet came along and technology went a step backwards. Instead of keeping up with what 4GLs were doing, technology went back to 3GL, which meant you have to write a lot of code to deliver functionality. To create applications, you have to create user interfaces using code instead of doing that visually. So this has been an ongoing problem with all the traditional web development tools, that all the RAD capabilities, rapid application development capabilities, are essentially gone out of the window. And with Servoy 8, we want to address that to continue the RAD capabilities that we also delivered in the pre-HTML5 era and deliver that in HTML5 applications. And we've been doing this for quite a while. We've actually been participating in the RAD race, which is an interesting name, for quite a few years. And actually I've participated myself as well with Johan. Johan was the guy that did all the work. I did all the talking and writing the bugs. And we would typically end on second or on third place. So we thought maybe Servoy is not good enough that we're ending on second or third place. But eventually Johan said, maybe it's you. Maybe you just don't know how to program very well. So we sent in Sanneke and Patrick, and they ended number one, by far, beating all the other teams in delivering a business application in 2 days. It's a fairly complex application that they have to write in 2 days. You compete against anybody that wants to participate. So in this case, it was against Java tools, against .NET tools, against Mendix, against OutSystems, and the Servoy team was much better. And actually, an interesting quote from the jury. So the president of the jury is the CTO of Capgemini. And he said, actually, the Servoy application is the only one that I would ever put in production of everybody that participated. So that also talks about the quality, so the non-functionals within an application. That's also taken care of, because developing a prototype quickly you can probably do in many tools, but then is the quality good enough to take that in production? That has a lot to do with non-functionals in a platform. And in Servoy 8, we had a company meeting, company gathering in January, and what we wanted to do with all the people that work at Servoy is just for fun. So instead of getting drunk for fun, we decided we wanted to do some coding. And we were preparing a couple of exercises, Ron and myself, to do the hackathon, and then I got a phone call from the World Health Organization. And they said, we have a pretty big problem with the outbreak of Ebola, and we have been incapable to create software to manage this problem. So we need help from a platform that can make this really quickly. They sent us the specs, and I thought this would actually be an interesting exercise to do at a hackathon. And looking at the amount of work, thought we can probably do this in 2 days of hacking. So this was a very interesting exercise, not only to test Servoy 8, but also to test our teams. How well can they work together, the R&D team, with the expert services team, and also with the sales and marketing guys. The latter actually proved pretty useless. True?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Robert. They were actually pretty good in testing. So they were testing as an end user. So you can really get stupid end users by getting sales and marketing involved. So in 2 days, I'm sorry, I didn't turn off my phone. So in about 2 days, we were able to deliver the first working version of the WHO health application. And since then, STB has taken over this application to support them and to further develop it. And maybe Rob can discuss a little bit at the end on what this application does. So when we started thinking about Servoy 8, we started looking at, so what do developers need in a rapid application development platform? And today the key thing is to be able to deliver cloud applications quickly at a lower cost with higher agility to be able to do that in a very efficient way. And there are many cloud platforms out there, but there are very little that focus on productivity, on getting applications out there, and also allowing you to create large and complex business applications that can then be deployed as a cloud application. So with Servoy, our design goal is really to become a 4GL for cloud applications, so that without the 3GL, so writing huge amounts of code, you can quickly develop modern, responsive applications. So that means that you can use any type of UI templates or create your own UI templates in HTML5. You can use third-party tools for that, or you can use the built-in templates that Servoy provides, and really deliver a great responsive user experience to your end users, as Paolo will actually show in a couple of minutes. So being able to deliver omnichannel applications, and omnichannel means delivering to desktop, to browser, to mobile, to tablet. But omnichannel also means delivering cloud-based applications, but in some cases on-premise or hybrid applications where you want to combine the different deployment technologies depending on what your customer needs. And again, from a single code base, so without having to duplicate your code for either the UI or for the backend logic that you have within your application. So having said that, that is the official launch of Servoy 8 today. The good news is we put it live, I think, last week, so you can already download it for quite some time. Today we're celebrating that with a drink and a barbecue. And before we do that, I would like to invite Minox to give a very small demonstration. Minox was kind enough to help us in finishing Servoy 8, because when you finish your product, it's always great if you have a launching customer to squash the final bugs in your product. And Minox also had some urgent needs to use Servoy 8. So with that, I'd like to invite Minox to the stage. And also, I guess you're going to do a live demo.
Live demo, yes.
We love live demos.
One of the benefits of cloud, available anywhere, anytime. Thank you for providing this opportunity to present Minox today. I will do first a short introduction to provide some background, and then I'll do a live demo. My name is Hessel Kuik. I'm since July the CEO of Minox Software. We build accounting software for the Dutch market, and we do that already since more than 30 years. First in Microsoft DOS, later on in Windows, which is a product line we still maintain. And since last year, we have a cloud application built in Servoy 7 originally. and now we are moving to Servoy 8. Our clients are businesses, small and medium-sized businesses, freelancers, and most importantly, they're accountants who do the books for them. They are the most heavy users. And as all users of accounting systems, they need the application to be accurate, to have proper user experience. But more important also for them is that the application is very fast, and that they are able to use the keyboard to navigate through all the functionality. Accountant has a piece of paper in the left hand and uses the keyboard to quickly type in data into the system. And what we also have in the application is a lot of intelligence. So a lot of the data generation is automated. So as little data as possible is entered, and all the relations in the database, all the business logic, populate the other fields, and I will demonstrate that in a minute. In Servoy 7, we had most of that server side, and that resulted in performance that was lagging behind our Windows applications, which is why the accountants did not move to our cloud application. Now we are in a stage with Servoy 8 that we are polishing minor bugs. We're going to production next week, and we are very confident that will work. So let me demonstrate on our test server still where we are today. No. Use this one.
Oh, it seems that maybe it has a problem with full screen. Sometimes on Mac. Yeah.
Okay.
Switch to Windows. I'm living dangerously on a beta of OS 10.10.
Okay, so I'm opening an application. First thing you see is a dashboard. One of the benefits of cloud is that both the accountant and the customer is able to access the administration at the same time. So an accountant can maintain this dashboard, and his or her customer can look at this. Navigation has improved a lot in terms of speed. So you can see the menus respond quickly. I will go to the most important one, which is the booking program where you make your journal entries. And this is where the accountant typically types very, very fast, unlike me. And you can see the application responds quickly. First screen was the journal, then we drill down into the journal entry lines, and this is where you see the intelligence that's behind the system. So this is a revenue booking. So you book your debtor, for example, this one, and then you can navigate through the various fields with the tab or enter keys. When you type in a debtor, as opposed to a general ledger account, and I will not go into too much accounting details, but the logic is different. So for a debtor, it finds the invoice number. It automatically increases the number with 1. It provides an auto ID. It knows the date. It skips, if you go with tab, the fields that you're not likely to edit. You can edit it, but if you want to go fast, you can jump straight to the fields that you are likely to enter. In this case, it knows it should be on the debit side, so you can enter an amount, confirm, enter a description, press enter. You see that the line appears at the bottom, and it's actually 2 lines. So from the debtor, which it knows what is the revenue account to book to, and it knows the VAT category, the VAT percentage, in this case 21. It all retrieves that and applies logic. And in Servoy 7, the application interface lagged when you go through this very quickly. So that's one of the major improvements. What you can see here also is when you have a trial balance, pick a certain number. Let's try this one.
You use the web client in Servoy 7, right?
This is all web client,
Yeah,
yes.
also in Servoy 7 is also web
Yes,
client, huh?
yes. Okay. You can search. The search is very fast. Also, we have scrolling. I have not a mouse with a scroll wheel here, so but this works very fluidly, very smooth. Instead of the page views that we had in the original application, so this works really nice. When you have an account selected, you can drill through. So in this case, you go to the journal, you see the lines, you click further drilling, and it goes into the full detail of the entries, and it all goes very fast. There's a lot of data behind this. You can see there are tabs here, so you can go to where you came from in the drill path. If you edit something here, it changes in the other tabs as well. It's all reflected in real time. So this is really a great improvement that we have from Servoy 8. I think this is the most important part for us to show. This was the improvement that we were looking for, which is really a game changer for us in terms of business case. So only thing to say is that we're really glad to work with Servoy. We've been working on the upgrade for I think around 3 months, in contact on a daily basis, and that has been really good. So thanks a lot for that, and we'll hope we'll have a smooth go live next week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and then the second showcase we have is WHO, and maybe Rob, you can give a very brief background on the app, and then Paola can give a demo.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Now this is good cooperation. It was is a very good cooperation between Servoy and STB. As Jan already told you, this was made during a hackathon. And so it was one of the first applications in Servoy 8, I think, for the WHO. And it was amazing what a lot of functionality was created and how it worked. So finally, WHO was very enthusiastic about the functionality, and was together we were offering, in fact, a more we were working on a productized version of it, and because that was the goal to implement it in a lot of countries, which was also is also the case. The challenge there was that it was should be able to support multiple architectures, like server-based, but also standalone based, because in a lot of African countries you don't always have internet and servers next to you. And this, so there were we did it closely with Polo, and there were a few goals. First, for us, it was the first experience with Servoy 8. So our organizations learned together with Polo more the details of Servoy 8, which was important. Secondly, the goal, so that was good on our side. The goal on their side was to productize it, and what you saw is that because a lot of people were working in a short term on the product, the style was not always consistent, and also we were facing with some of the starting issues at Servoy 8. But so together we worked also in stabilizing Servoy 8 further, and we productized it and into a version management system, and now it's deployed after 3 months. It is deployed in a lot of countries, and now they are considering it to make it even more general, that it can be used in all outflows in all new epidemics that will occur in the world. So and it was a great good experience in the cooperation, and it we are very, very enthusiastic about the Servoy 8 platform, and we will start also migrating our main platform this year and platform next year to Servoy 8, and also change the complete front end of it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Paulo can demonstrate a little bit.
Paolo's the demo man.
So I would like first to start with a quick background on the functionality, on what we implemented and why we implemented. So since Ebola was one of highly deadly sickness, what they were needing a software that will help them to contain the spreading of the Ebola sickness. So what they were needing is like individual cluster that were spreading in some specific region or some specific village. If somebody is sick, it's very likely that this person has been in contact with families or relatives or friends in any case. And what they want to track all the persons that have been in contact with that guy that was sick. So the doctor, they could go visit them, if possible, every day, check their temperature. If they see that they were getting fever or they were getting sick, they could isolate them before they were spreading the virus to somebody else. So in this way, it was much easier to contain. That's why we implemented an application. In this application, you will see, this is the first screen, some dashboarding on how many new cases they're coming in a specific period. So in this month, there are so many cases, so many have died, so many they just had fever, and all these kind of statistics. And then we build a chain of transmission where we have here some person which have been visited by the doctor, and they could be sick or suspected to be sick. And once this person has registered into the system can actually trace all the contact that this person they have with other person. So here I have a view of all my person. I can enable all the contacts that this person have been recently. So I can see here that this guy had a lot of contact with many people. I can zoom in and I can say, okay, this guy had so many contacts. This means that during the incubation period, that is going to be about of 21 days, we have to check all this person every day. If somebody gets sick, we isolate them, and that's how we avoid this to get spreading. So except of the functionality of registering in your contact and everything that it's normal CRM, we had a lot of queries on finding this stuff, and also we implemented this graph, is a Servoy 8 component that show really nicely which are the cluster. And we can see here how the virus start in this cluster was Michaela, the first one, then had many contacts. One of these turned to be sick, and this person spread the virus to other person. We can also have different type of view. We can cluster them by place, by region. So in this village, we have so many people, 3 guys from this village. Actually, he has been in contact with person from another village. So in this way, they have a lot of nice information that will help them to stop the virus. They had also timeline view. So I lost it. We can see also after how many days this person have been in contact, if they got sick, and so on. And then we have a follow-up list here where they could be the doctor. They could build the daily task to check if this person have been visited or not, if they were fine or not. So this is a day. During this day, there are so many people that have to be visited. The doctor will go there with piece of paper, because of course they're somewhere in Africa, so they don't have laptop there. Once the doctor comes back, goes to the system, say, okay, I visited this guy. This actually today was fine. This guy also was fine. This guy instead had a fever. This guy actually was sick, so we had to isolate him. And they could do this in a daily view, or also in a 21 days period. So they can have like a complex grid where they can see all this person if they have been visited or not. For example, this guy here visited after 5 days, has not been visited anymore, and then they visited again, and likely he was fine. But if, for example, they found that somebody has not been visited for a long period, that was a risk, because he might have virus and he might have spread it. So that's what we built. It was a really nice application, as Rob said, great experience, and I'm also glad that perhaps could be useful.
Absolutely. It serves really a goal, huh?
Yeah, it's a nice goal. It's a really nice goal.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Okay.
More demos?
Next demo.
Next demo.
So in the next demo, I want to show how to build a responsive application in 5 to 10 minutes. It's possible. And what you see here is the application actually that we're going to build. So this application has been built with Servoy 8. Some of you already saw some demo of Servoy 8, but nobody saw a responsive demo so far, at least how this has been built. So here we have also mixed a lot of UI framework that pick up from the web. We have some material design component. We have some Kendo UI component. We have the default of Servoy, some Google Maps, some charts, and we mixed what was our old layout system, the anchored layout, with the responsive layout, because also this is possible. If you want to mix some layout until a certain level, is still possible. So here in this application, there is almost no coding. It's bound to our sample database, and we have a view of some supplier, which is the location of the supplier, and then we have a list of product, actually a detail of a product, and here we have a chart on products again. So what is nice that have a lot of interactive components that are just bound to the data, and without coding, I can update one of this value and all the other components will be updated accordingly. So for example, here in this gauge and in this slider, they're all bound to the unit in stock value of a product that I have. If I change the value to, let's say, 67, both of them, they get updated. And this is happening just because of the data binding. The component itself, which you can just use as a drag and drop, contains all the logic that is necessary to have this update on the screen. I don't know if you noticed, but also the chart actually here is being updated. If I move this value down to the bottom, you can see here that the chart is also being updated live.
Wow.
Some other things, you might think that this is simple, nice, but you can also do some more complex stuff. For example, the maps. You can, if you have a map, you have an address here which is bound to the map, and the component itself automatically calculate the position of the address that you're putting in. So here we have Liverpool with a specific street. Now if I change it to London, this will move automatically to London. There is no code that you have to write. The component just can handle all this complex procedure that is about making a request to the Google Map, giving the position, and show it in there. And we talk about responsive. You might notice that here we have more or less four containers. And if I change the size of the screen at a certain level, those containers, they change position. So on the desktop, I have a big screen, so I can show all three of them together. If I'm working on a tablet, perhaps I have space to show them in columns by 2. Instead, if I resize even more, and then I go in a mobile, everything goes as a line one on top of each other. In this way, I can have responsive design, a responsive application that you can deploy to any device you want with the same source of code. So I will switch now to the Servoy developer, and I will show also for who is new how this is built and how we can connect the data from the database to the component and how simple it is to do that. What I have here is a form. It's a piece of the screen is actually one of the 4 rectangles that we saw before. Is now empty. As a first things that I want to do, I want to bind this form to any table that I have available in my database. So I have all my list of database. They're totally independent. They can be any type of database, Postgres, SQL, Oracle, whatever you want. I will select one table. So let's build the product screen. Once I select the data source, I can bind to my UI component all the information that are coming from products. So I can pick up now, for example, one material design component, and I will pick up a simple input field. In this input field, I simply drag and drop on the screen, and here I have a properties editor where I can set which is the label that is going to be shown. So product and the form designer, which is what you see is what you get. The same moment that you do a change in the property will be reflected on the designer on the form that you're building. So it's live change that you can do without any time go back to the screen and check how it looks like. Now on the same component, I want to bind it to a specific information that is of my product. So the product name, as soon as I bind it here, I have my product chai, and which is immediately visible. I can do the same for my unit price. So price, I can bind it to my unit price. I have value 4. Since the price, I assume that is going to be only 2 digits. I can set a format on my field. So by setting the format, will show 400. Then I'm going to place another component, which is going to be again unit in stock. And now I can pick up my gauge component that is as simple as the previous one. I just drop it on the screen, and again, I just need to select to which value of my product I want to bound its value. So it's going to be unit in stock. And the same is going to happen for my slider. So in this case, it's a Kendo UI component. I drop it on the screen, data provider is going to be unit in stock. I save, and my first form is almost ready. What I have not shown from the demo, I can go back to it. This kind of header, I can bind an event, a swipe event. So anytime I try to swipe from...
Swiping with a mouse.
Yeah, it works much better in the tablet. Yeah, now it happened. So anytime I try to swipe, it will change the selected record from the database. So from the first record on top of the database, I can go to the second and so on. And also this is really simple. I can just pick up a component that holds the swipe event. I put it here, change the position 0, 0, and I can bind one swipe event. This will be coded in JavaScript. The editor facilitate all your work since you have code completion. So if you want to change the selection of which record you want to go, you just say select the index get. Code completion is helping me in writing code. You see also here an example is what we want to do. We want to go from the current index to the next index. So +1. And in this way, I can write my event to go to the next record. It's the same stuff, of course, with the other event on swipe right. We can go to the screen now. Before to complete, this component, I can style it using CSS. I have some classes that the form designer will suggest to me. So if I go in the style class, I have some classes that I can use. If I select now, this is a material design class. Primary is being colored using this class. So anytime you want to change theme, you just pick up another theme from material design as a different color for primary. In this way, all the application will change look and feel. Now, let's go to the new screen. Let's build a location. In this case, I'm going to bind this form to my supplier table. Save it. And the map is another component that I can pick up from my palette. Drag and drop it. And again, here I just bound which is the address against which value that I have in my database. I can pick up, of course, any value, like I have here address, city, country, but of course the address is the combination of the three of them. With Servoy, it's also really easy to elaborate value that you have in database. So you can easily calculate a full address, which is just the concatenation of the three values. So that's going to be my full address. I'm going to put my input, another input. This is the address. And this is the city. So also this screen is ready, and we had to do almost nothing for it. And you see that all the logic changing the address that is being updated, I write no code. It's just working because the component, it contains all the logic. I will skip the supplier screen, the first one that you've seen, since it's simple and it's just, again, a field that I have to bind. I'm going to show you how to make a chart. Again, is another component, which is ready. I was preparing my demo before. I will start from scratch, so you will say that I didn't cheat. So I pick up my chart, drop it in here. On this chart, I can also decide which is the source of data. I can decide that the source of data is going to be a URL. In this case, it can be a web service that is coming from Servoy itself or any other external web service. It can be a JavaScript object because maybe it's a complex elaboration of data that I want to do all in JavaScript. I don't want to store it in database. Or of course, it can just come from a database as everything else. In this example, we're going to pick up the full set of products that I have in database. Obviously, this form is bound to the products table. So here in the component, I just say, okay, use the set of record that you have in this form, so all the products, and you have to create the chart based on the unit in stock and label it using the product name. And that's the same chart that you have seen before in my demo application. So also in this case, complex operation just done immediately with few clicks. If I want to place a button, here is my button. I can set text. And of course, I can style it in the same way I styled my header. So I can say, okay, my style class is going to be primary again. And I'm going to use another style class of material design. In this way, my button also is getting styled. If I want to write some logic, the logic is pretty simple. I have already one method here. I want to write a logic to change my chart from what you see a line chart into a bar chart. So the only thing that I have to do, I say elements, the name of the chart that I have, set the chart type to bar that is a different type. I can save also that, and now I will show you how to create the main screen that is a responsive screen, and we'll actually adjust the layout of all of them. So I'm going to create a new form. I will call it main. I will say that this form is going to be a responsive form. And here you will have a new set of elements. Those are containers. With those containers, I can actually build my template for the responsive. I mean, the template means how do I decide that this column should go down of this column in this dimension and vice versa. Servoy offers you a set of Bootstrap 12 grid templates that you can reuse. You just use them straightforward. You have no need of understanding. And if you want to customize those templates, of course, you have the possibility of doing so. So if you know some things about 12 grid, it's really easy also to customize those templates. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use one of the templates that is simple, 3 columns that will go one on top of each other when the screen will be smaller. Inside this column, I'm going to place the container where I will show my form. So it's one of the default elements that Servoy offers. It's called tabless panel. I will drop one here. I will drop another one here. I will drop another one here. And in this container, I can say, okay, here I want to show one of the form that I have created. So I can show the product form, and that's what I've created before. I can select a different one. Here I want to show the location form. So here is going to show the location. And here I want to show the supplier form. So those are the three 1, 2, 3 grid that we have before. If we want to add a new column, we can do it again with drag and drop. If you feel confused, because this is what you see, what you get. When you want to customize your template, perhaps you want to know also which is the structure that your template has. So in this case, you can just go in the outline view. You can say I want to add a new column here, and in this column, I'm going to place the component that is a tablets panel. I select it, I go here in the property, and this is going to show the chart form. So in this way, I've built the same demo that I've shown you before. As you can see here, I have no need of running it, because actually already the form designer show exactly what you've seen before. What you see is what you get. So that's conclude my demo.
Wow, looks pretty good. Yeah. I wish I could demo as well as you can. All right. Well, before we dive into the barbecue, we have some time for questions. Who has any questions?
Components. You have a lot of components, MD components. Are those default or are those available to us? Custom.
Those are custom components that I've been building.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same set that was from Servoy World. We expanded with a small set. So far, we have used it in the demos mostly. So we have not used them in production, but I would be really happy if somebody wants to integrate those in the production environment and improve the quality of those components.
So are we going to put them on Servoy Forge, or are we going to ship them with the product?
I think it depends on all kind of intellectual property
The licenses.
the licenses in reality, because that will always be an important aspect of it. But as much as possible, we will get it in the easiest way, which is, I think, a default view. Third-party license. Yeah, and also the way licenses work together sometimes.
You can't ship components with a GPL license, for example.
So we will keep a strict eye on software licensing, because that is the easy way to serious problems with the company valuation, etc. If that would not be there, we would make it all default and okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Bob Cusick is drinking, which is fine. There's a question from Gary, I think, for you, Paolo.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a document on how to make web components ready, usable for Servoy 8?
There is the wiki. Is that public, Jon? Jon is outside. We have a wiki page, but I'm not 100% sure if it's public yet.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so the answer to Gary is there is a wiki page about that.
So everybody is invited to find all kind of components out there that we've never seen or heard of, whatever you can find, and embed it in Servoy and share. So, yeah, the microphone is pretty good. And yeah, looking forward to see what kind of components everybody is bringing in. It's really hard to predict. There's a lot of different things out there. So
it's good to make a component wish list, so you don't not everyone is making the same component. So it's good to vote as well.
That would be nice.
Nice idea.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
Use the form.
When you make a vote component, we can use that. Yeah?
Who's going to host it?
No.
There's a good question from Bernd. Can you take an existing Servoy 7 solution and convert it to the 8 format?
It's possible.
Now it's possible.
As Minox can confirm, it is possible. And effectively, there are two steps in your conversion. First of all, you can load any Servoy 7 solution into Servoy 8, but then you are still on web client. If you then want to move it to the NG client, then you have to look at the specific components that you're using. Most of the defaults map fairly well, but there are some events that you have to avoid. The on-render has to be avoided. There are a couple of things to keep in mind. At Servoy World, we actually are going to have a session about best practices for migrating. So that's, I think, a very good session to follow. Is it a session or a training? Does anybody know that?
I think it's a session.
We think it's a session. If you want to build, it's a session. If you want to build components, that is actually a training, I think, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, because that's more going in depth and hands-on. So that's going to be a day. Is it a day or half a day? A day.
It's 1 day.
A one-day training if you want to build your own components. And I've seen, we did that training internally some time ago, and I've seen that in a day you can really build very powerful components. So it's not as difficult as it may sound like. And as you've seen, Paolo has like 30 components, which he's built in, what is each component? 30, 60 minutes per component?
Depends.
It depends. Some are 30 minutes.
Some are 30 minutes.
All right, guys. Well, that ends the webinar. And I thought there was champagne somewhere. But... Oh!
Speaking of, is that a pop?